Why is it that people are living longer than ever, but also popping more pills than ever? By age 60, about 1 in 3 Americans takes 5 or more prescription medications each day, not to thrive, but just to get through the day. Yet behind closed doors, many still whisper the same things. I wake up tired. My body aches without warning. I feel like I'm slowly disappearing. Have you ever felt that way? Despite all the advancements in healthcare, your body and soul are quietly asking for something deeper, something gentler, something real. This video isn't about rejecting medicine. It's about remembering that your body is not broken by default. It's built to heal. But healing doesn't begin in a bottle. It starts with how you breathe, how you move, and how you feel. And in Zen wisdom, simple things, done consciously, become medicine more powerful than any prescription. So what if the answer isn't more, but less? Less tension, less noise, less rushing, and more of what your body was silently waiting for all along. Let's take that first step, slowly, gently, like Zen monks walking through the early morning fog. Because this journey is not about fixing, it's about returning. Tip 1. Wake up with the sun, not an alarm. Your body has a clock older than any medication. Before electricity, before clocks, before caffeine, the sun was the only alarm we knew, and it was more than enough. Your body holds an ancient rhythm, like a hidden drum beating beneath your skin. It's called the circadian rhythm, and it was designed to rise with the light, not with noise, panic, or vibration. When we wake up naturally with the sun brushing our eyelids, something sacred happens. The nervous system softens, the breath deepens. The body doesn't feel pushed, it feels inviting. In Zen temples across Japan, monks rise before dawn, around 4:30 a.m. But they don't wake up to email or panic. They wake into stillness. The first sound is not an alarm, but their footsteps bowing toward the ground. They begin the day not in a rush, but in reverence. You don't need to be a monk to live this way. You just need to choose how you greet the day. Instead of checking your phone, check your breath. Instead of jumping into tasks, step into the light. Let the first 10 minutes be yours, untouched, undemanding, pure. And here's the twist. By aligning with the sun, your body produces hormones that boost energy more reliably than coffee. Morning light increases serotonin, stabilizes sleep cycles, and reduces inflammation. No pills, no prescriptions, just presence. Imagine this. What if you replaced your alarm clock with birdsong? What if you let your eyelids meet the dawn before they met a screen? Some people think health starts with what you eat, but it might start with how you wake. Waking up is not just a physical act, it's a spiritual one. You can either wake into stress or wake into your own life. And once the body rises in peace, the next question becomes, what do you feed it? Not just with food, but with thought. Let's talk about that next. Tip 2. Eat like you're praying. Your stomach isn't a garbage can, it's a sacred altar. Most people eat to fill space. Zen teaches us to eat to fill the silence. Imagine this. You sit down to eat, but before the first bite, you close your eyes. The food in front of you isn't just fuel, it's a gift. Sunlight turned into a tomato. Rain turned into rice. 1,000 invisible hands moved to bring this to your plate. That moment before the bite becomes holy. Zen monks recite a gatha before every meal. We receive this food with deep gratitude, reflecting on our effort and that of all beings. Can you feel the difference between that and shoving a sandwich into your mouth while scrolling Instagram? Here's the twist. Digestion begins not in your stomach, but in your attention. When you slow down and chew, say 30 times per bite, you're not just being mindful, you're triggering enzymes, balancing blood sugar, and calming the vagus nerve. Your body doesn't need more pills to digest. It needs more presence. Think of your mouth as the gateway to your nervous system. If you eat in a rush, your body hears danger. If you eat in silence, your body hears safety. And healing never happens in fear. A little humor here: if your phone eats before you do, you're probably feeding the wrong hunger. You laugh, but think about it. How often have you tasted your screen more than your soup? One of the deepest forms of self-respect is eating like someone who matters. Not like a machine, not like a dumpster, but like a temple. And if you're wondering how this connects to your health, listen closely. The slower you eat, the longer you live. Not because of calories, but because slowness signals worthiness. And when your body feels worthy, it doesn't just digest better, it heals better. You don't need to eat less, you need to eat deeper. Food is not just about hunger, it's about relationships. And when you shift your relationship with food, your entire body listens. Now that you've remembered the sacredness of eating, what about the way you breathe? Let's go there next. Tip 3. Breathe like a river, not a storm. You're not tired, you're just under-oxygenated. Let that sink in for a moment. We live in a world that moves fast, talks fast, eats fast, and yes, breathes fast. But your nervous system wasn't designed to live in a storm. It was designed to flow like a river. Zen monks don't breathe to survive. They breathe to remember. Each inhale, a return to presence. Each exhale, a soft letting go. There's a quiet power in diaphragmatic breathing. When you breathe deeply into your belly, not your chest, you activate the part of your nervous system responsible for rest, healing, and digestion. Your blood pressure softens. Your mind fog begins to clear. Your heart whispers, "Thank you." Want a simple practice? Try this. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 6 counts. Do it for just 3 minutes, morning or night. Don't try to fix anything. Just follow the breath like a leaf on a gentle stream. Now picture this. Your body is bamboo. The wind of life passes through, but it bends, it flows, and it never breaks. That's the image I carry with me when stress rises. I become bamboo, strong, still, yet flowing. Here's a twist that might surprise you. Stillness isn't laziness, it's leadership. When you are calm in your breath, you lead your body, your mind, and your emotions. You become the anchor in your own life. Most people over 50 are told to take supplements, vitamins, or pills for energy. But here's the truth. You can't out-medicate a nervous system that's always on fire. You have to breathe that fire into warmth. And just for fun, if breath were a drug, it would be free, legal, and more powerful than most prescriptions. But since there's no profit in the air, no one reminds us how sacred it is. You don't need a better breath. You just need to notice the one you already have. That's where your healing begins. Not with effort, but with awareness. Now that we've remembered how to breathe, it's time to remember how to walk. But not the way you're used to. Let's take the next step. Tip 4. Walk without a destination. Every step without pressure is a step toward healing. When was the last time you walked, not to get somewhere, but to come back to yourself? In the rush of modern life, walking has become just another task, an act of transportation, not transformation. But in the Zen tradition, every step is sacred. Every heel that touches the earth is a silent bow to the present moment. There's a story about a student who asked his master, "Where can I find the truth?" The master sent him walking up a mountain in silence. Days passed. When he returned exhausted and empty, the master asked, "What did you learn?" The student replied, "With every step I stopped asking." The master smiled, "Then you found it, in your souls." Walking meditation is not about getting your steps in. It's about losing what burdens you. It soothes the nervous system, slows the pulse, lowers stress hormones, and reminds your muscles of something modern living forgets: gentleness. Try this. Walk for 10 minutes. No phone, no destination. Just breathe in and silently say, "I have arrived." Feel your foot kissing the earth. Feel the air resting on your skin. Let the world soften. Here's a little twist. This practice doesn't slow you down. It resets your inner compass, so you stop walking in circles through stress and start walking inward, where peace lives. When you walk without chasing, you begin attracting. A gentle reminder. Your legs aren't just carrying you through time, they're carrying you through your becoming. So maybe, just maybe, it's not about the distance. It's about the return. If you've ever felt like life is passing by too fast, like you're rushing and missing something unnamed, this is your remedy. You walk, not go forward. You walk to arrive. And hey, if someone asks why you're walking so slowly today, just smile and say, "I'm not in a hurry to miss my life." Healing doesn't sprint, it walks. It feels the dirt, hears the birds, and lets the sky guide each step. True health begins when we walk like we belong, not like we're behind. And once your feet remember how to move with grace, there's one more place that needs your silence: the hours before you sleep. Tip 5, turn off noise before you sleep. Your body doesn't sleep when your mind is screaming. You can lie in bed for 8 hours, but if your thoughts are pacing the hallway, your body is not truly resting. After 50, sleep doesn't come as easily, not because the body's broken, but because the modern world keeps us awake long after the sun has gone down. And the most overlooked thief of rest? Overstimulation, endless scrolling, blue light flashing like little lightning bolts into your eyes. News headlines whisper fear, conversations echoing in your mind. The day may be over, but your nervous system hasn't received the memo. Here's something ancient monks did long before sleep studies existed. They treated night as sacred, not just a pause between days, but a temple of stillness. At dusk, candles replaced harsh light, chants replaced chatter, and silence became the pillow beneath the mind. No screens, no news, no distractions. Just breathe, just presence, just a simple moment of unwinding. You don't need a monastery to do this. You just need a ritual. What I call the digital sunset. Turn off all screens at least an hour before bed. Light a candle, sip warm tea, let your body know the day is ending. Whisper something kind to yourself, because what you think before sleep is what your cells will rehearse until morning. Here's the twist. Nighttime is not just for recharging energy. It's when your body repairs. But if your mind is full of noise, your body can't hear the signal. Healing doesn't shout, it whispers. Think of your mind like a lake. Every stimulation is a ripple. The stiller the surface, the deeper the reflection, and the deeper the rest. A Zen teacher once said, "The moon only reflects clearly when the water is undisturbed." That moon is your wisdom, your clarity, your healing power. So tonight, instead of falling asleep with your phone in your hand, try holding your breath instead. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Let your whole nervous system unclench. Let your body remember how safe it is. And if you're the kind who says, "I just can't fall asleep," here's a gentle smile from me. Maybe you're not tired. Maybe you just forgot how to let go. Sleep is not a punishment. It's a reward for allowing yourself to be quiet. And in that quiet, everything you're seeking begins to regenerate. And now that your nights are calm, let's awaken something even more powerful. Your ability to laugh, even when no one's around. Because healing doesn't always have to be serious. Sometimes it begins with a smile. Tip 6, laugh often even alone. Joy isn't childish, it's healing. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that joy must be earned, that laughter is something you wait for, like dessert at the end of a hard day. But what if joy is the medicine, and laughter is the breath of the soul? The human body doesn't lie. When you laugh, every cell lights up. Your lungs expand. Your blood vessels open. Your immune system strengthens. Your body remembers for a brief moment what it feels like to be safe. Monasteries may be places of silence, but don't be fooled. They're also filled with laughter. In Zen temples, laughter isn't forbidden, it's encouraged. Monks sometimes make silly jokes, play flutes, or even dance awkwardly just to crack the rigid mind and let the light in. Why? Because a mind that clings too tightly to form can never flow freely. There's an old story of a Zen master who, in the middle of a serious Dharma talk, suddenly slipped and fell flat on his back. Everyone gasped, but he burst out laughing. This, he said, is enlightenment. That moment, unexpected, imperfect, alive, is the essence of healing. Let me share something with you. I schedule joy like I schedule supplements. I block time on my calendar that says, watch something that makes me laugh. And it works. 10 minutes of joy is better than 10 pills of tension. Now I know some people say, but what's there to laugh about? Especially after 50. The joints hurt. The news is terrible. The world feels uncertain. I get it. But here's a twist. If you're waiting for life to be perfect before you allow yourself to laugh, you might die constipated. Humor is not just relief, it's a rebellion, a way of saying, I'm alive, and I won't let pain have the last word. When you laugh, even when no one is around, you're telling your nervous system, it's safe to release, it's okay to soften. Think of laughter as a bell in the temple of your body. Every chuckle clears out stale air. Every giggle is a broom sweeping away the dust of self-seriousness. Every burst of joy is proof that healing is not far away. It's here, in your breath, in your belly, in your willingness to let go. Healing doesn't always whisper in silence. Sometimes it roars in a laugh. Don't underestimate the medicine of joy. And speaking of letting go, what if the next secret to living longer isn't what you do, but what you're finally willing to release? Let's explore that next. Tip 7, let go of one thing a day. Healing is subtraction, not addition. We live in a culture obsessed with more vitamins, more therapy, more supplements, more routines. But what if longevity begins with less? A Zen saying that cuts right through this confusion. Let go or be dragged. Imagine waking up each morning with a backpack full of stones. Some are labeled regret. Others say, what if? Or, I should have said this. Or, why didn't they love me? Now imagine carrying that weight every day for 60, 70, or even 80 years. No wonder your back hurts. Letting go isn't dramatic. It's not about burning bridges or shouting affirmations into the void. Sometimes it's as small as exhaling a grudge, releasing the need to be right, dropping a habit that drains your energy, even if it's just checking the news before your heart has had a chance to feel the sun. Healing doesn't demand that you fix everything. It simply asks, what are you willing to sit down just for today? There's a beautiful metaphor I often return to. Picture yourself as a river, flowing quietly through rocks. Each rock is a clinging thought, an old resentment, a fear you no longer need. As you loosen one, the current strengthens. Your natural energy returns. You feel lighter. Here's a twist most people miss. The body often holds on to inflammation because the mind won't stop clenching. Just one released thought, truly released, can lower your blood pressure more than any pill, because the release isn't a weakness. It's wisdom. And remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Just one thing, one expectation you place on yourself, one story about the past, one image of who you should be. That's enough to begin. Here's something I do. Each evening before I sleep, I whisper one thing I'm releasing. Sometimes it's a name, sometimes belief, sometimes even the idea that I have to do healing perfectly. The moment I do this, my nervous system softens, like a child being told, "You can rest now." Humor break? All right, if you need a clue about what to let go of, check what makes your jaw tense, your stomach twist, or your coffee taste bitter. If it's your ex, well, that might be a sign. True longevity is not in how much you hold, but how much you don't need to carry anymore. What's one thing, just one, you're ready to let go of today? Leave it in the comments. Let's lighten together. Now that we've made a little more space within, what fills that space is just as important. And that begins, not with words, but with silence. Let's step into that quiet next. Tip 8, touch silence every day. Silence isn't the absence of life. It's the presence of clarity. When was the last time you heard anything? Not background music, not traffic or notifications or chatter, but that deep, echoing quiet that lives beneath it all. For most people, true silence is rarer than gold. Some haven't tasted it in years, others not since childhood, and yet, within that silence is where healing truly begins. Zen masters say, enlightenment lives between two thoughts, not in books, not in temples, not even in breath, but in the moment when the mind pauses, the ego softens, and everything simply is. There's a reason ancient Zen temples were built in forests, not cities. The stillness of nature isn't just beautiful, it mirrors the stillness within us. A river doesn't force its flow. A tree doesn't argue with the wind. They exist in harmony because they are not constantly speaking to themselves. But we are. Try this. After your next meal, instead of checking your phone, close your eyes for 3 minutes. No music, no mantras, no goals. Just notice. You might be shocked at how loud your inner world is, but beyond that noise, something spacious, calm, and profoundly kind begins to appear. Here's an image I often share. Your mind is like a teacup. When it's full of thoughts, news, and worry, there's no room for anything nourishing to enter. Silence is the emptying, and what fills it is peace. In terms of your body, stillness acts like a reset switch. Blood pressure softens. Your immune system gets the green light to repair. Even your digestion improves, because silence signals to the body, you are safe now. Here's a twist. The modern world teaches us to do something to heal, but silence teaches us to undo. It removes the noise that clouds your natural vitality. And yes, sometimes silence is uncomfortable, especially at first. You might feel the urge to escape it. Check your email, clean the counter, think about lunch. That's okay. It means you're finally meeting your real self. Here's a little joke to lighten things up. If you've never sat still long enough to hear your breath, maybe your phone knows more about your life than you do. Silence isn't a luxury. It's the medicine that costs nothing and heals everything. So here's your invitation. Find 3 moments a day, before a Zoom call, after a meal, while watering your plants. Just sit. 3 minutes. No agenda. Let life speak through the quiet, and once we've tasted silence, the words we choose afterward matter even more. Because not every thought deserves a voice, and not every voice heals. Let's explore that next. Tip 9. Speak with intention, not reaction. Every word is either medicine or poison. We often think that what we say disappears into thin air, but words are seeds. They land, grow, and stay. Some bloom into healing, others fester into wounds. And in the quiet garden of a long life, the words you plant today become the peace or the pain you live with tomorrow. In Zen tradition, speech is sacred not because of what is said, but because of how it's said. The right words, spoken at the wrong time, can still cut. But the simplest phrase, when timed with tenderness, can mend what silence alone cannot. There's a teaching from the Zen precepts that whispers, "Speak only if it improves upon the silence." And that's not a command, it's a gift. You are not required to fill every moment. You are invited to honor it. Let's be honest. How often do we speak just to respond, to defend, to prove, to win? But words born from urgency rarely carry wisdom. That's why one of the most powerful practices is this. Pause, breathe, then speak. A 3-second breath before answering can save 3 days of regret. I've lived that one too many times. You? Here's a little story. I once watched a Zen teacher sit in silence for a full minute before answering a student's question. When he finally spoke, he said just one sentence. And it was so clear, so kind, so piercing, that the entire room exhaled. That's when I realized that slowness in speech is not weakness, it's reverence. Science confirms this too. Calm communication lowers the stress response in the listener's body. It regulates breathing, heart rate, and even brain waves. We are wired to receive safety from tone, not just content. And in the dance between words and wellness, here's the twist. Your nervous system listens to how you speak even more than others do. The way you talk to yourself becomes the way your cells feel. Harsh words, your body tenses. Gentle ones, your body breathes. Here's a smile. Your mouth doesn't need to outrun your wisdom. Let that one sit for a second. We all know someone who needs that stitched on a pillow. Maybe that someone is us on a Monday. Speaking with intention is an act of self-respect, and it ripples outward as healing energy in a chaotic world. So try this practice. Before your next conversation, pause for 3 seconds, not to think, but to become present. Then speak, not to convince, but to connect. And when the day ends, after all the speaking and striving, there's one final gesture that can change how you rest, age, and awaken. Let's explore it together next. Tip 10. Bow to your body every night. Gratitude is the oldest healing ritual, and it costs nothing. When was the last time you thanked your body, not for how it looked, but simply for being there? We ask so much of it every day, to keep breathing, to keep walking, to keep holding us, even in pain. And yet, how often do we pause at the end of the day to whisper, "Thank you, I see you"? In Zen practice, there is a bow, not to worship, but to honor. Bowing is not about hierarchy or formality. It is the simplest gesture of reverence. And tonight, that reverence can begin with something as quiet as a hand on your chest. Place one palm on your heart, one on your belly. Close your eyes and just say softly, "Thank you, body, for keeping me alive today." No big explanation, no drama, just presence. Why does this matter? Because the body listens. It's not just a machine, it's an intelligent being made of memory, response, and breath. When it feels seen, it begins to relax. And deep relaxation is not luxury, it's the gateway to regeneration. Muscles soften, hormones settle, sleep deepens. In that space, healing doesn't need to be forced. It just happens. Here's something I've learned. You can try every supplement, every sleep hack, every stretching app on the market. But if you go to bed resenting your body, you wake up tired. Period. Twist moment? Most people only appreciate their bodies after something breaks. A knee, a back, a diagnosis. But you don't have to wait for pain to start honoring this sacred vessel. A Zen is saying, the body is the garden. Awareness is the gardener. And like any garden, your body doesn't bloom with criticism, it blooms with kindness. Let's make this simple. Every night before bed, just bow inward. You can sit on your mat or your mattress. Doesn't matter, just breathe. Place your hands where you feel life beating and say thank you. That's it. Humor moment. If your dog gets more good night kisses than your lungs do, maybe it's time to change that. True vitality isn't built by chasing perfection. It's built by deepening your friendship with the only home you've ever lived in, your body. And now that we've explored these 10 beautiful Zen ways to return to health naturally, it's time for one final step. Not a habit, not a tip, but a shift of heart. Let's close this journey together. Gratitude is the oldest healing ritual, and it costs nothing. When was the last time you thanked your body, not for how it looked, but simply for being there? We ask so much of it every day, to keep breathing, to keep walking, to keep holding us, even in pain. And yet, how often do we pause at the end of the day to whisper, "Thank you, I see you"? In Zen practice, there is a bow, not to worship, but to honor. Bowing is not about hierarchy or formality. It is the simplest gesture of reverence. And tonight, that reverence can begin with something as quiet as a hand on your chest. Place one palm on your heart, one on your belly. Close your eyes and just say softly, "Thank you, body, for keeping me alive today." No big explanation, no drama, just presence. Why does this matter? Because the body listens. It's not just a machine, it's an intelligent being made of memory, response, and breath. When it feels seen, it begins to relax. And deep relaxation is not luxury, it's the gateway to regeneration. Muscles soften, hormones settle, sleep deepens. In that space, healing doesn't need to be forced. It just happens. Here's something I've learned. You can try every supplement, every sleep hack, every stretching app on the market. But if you go to bed resenting your body, you wake up tired. Period. Twist moment? Most people only appreciate their bodies after something breaks. A knee, a back, a diagnosis. But you don't have to wait for pain to start honoring this sacred vessel. A Zen is saying, the body is the garden. Awareness is the gardener. And like any garden, your body doesn't bloom with criticism, it blooms with kindness. Let's make this simple. Every night before bed, just bow inward. You can sit on your mat or your mattress. Doesn't matter, just breathe. Place your hands where you feel life beating and say thank you. That's it. Humor moment. If your dog gets more good night kisses than your lungs do, maybe it's time to change that. True vitality isn't built by chasing perfection. It's built by deepening your friendship with the only home you've ever lived in, your body. And now that we've explored these 10 beautiful Zen ways to return to health naturally, it's time for one final step. Not a habit, not a tip, but a shift of heart. Let's close this journey together.